What's the sign of a good TV show? The writing, directing, acting. Yeah, that all helps. Sometimes something comes along and is just created and it really is just, dynamite and it explodes and it makes everything completely around it just fall because they don't know what to expect. They don't know what it is. Back in the 90s, Mike Judge created a show that would live in infamy forever, for better or worse, depending on how you felt about it. And that show, my friends, was on MTV called Beavis and Butthead. Beavis and Butthead was a show about these two teenagers who, for the most part, are idiots and they do stupid things. Yes, and that's all anybody ever thinks of them as. But if you really watch the show and boil it down, there is some very clever writing, very comedic writing, and very good writing. And people just never like to give it its due. Some of the funniest things I've ever seen have been in Beavis and Butthead. And the best part is, they're like 5 minute long episodes 9 times out of 10. They're very, very short. The longest Beavis and Butthead anything was the film Beavis and Butthead Do America, which is incredible as well. That's kind of where most people, I think, would be like, oh, that was okay, but whatever. Beavis and Butthead is actually very, very good and very underrated. I think the people that get it, but by and large, it's kind of like metal music when it comes to the music industry and the music world. People just don't respect it for no reason. Well, Beavis and Butthead respected it, hence the AC/DC and Metallica shirts and the constant references to Pantera and all these other bands that are just so amazing and we've grown to love, like myself. So for a perfect metalhead show, it is. Yeah, it really is. And it's funny to boot. So when people dog on it and say that it's just, oh, it's fart jokes and blah, 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 it is. Yeah, absolutely. I'll never deny that. But it's written very well and it's clever and it's funny. Like I said, I can't stress that enough. People will never understand why something is as good as it is if you don't get it. And if you don't get it, then you won't get it. And when I was about 13 years old, my grandma, who unfortunately this year passed, but one of the coolest things that she ever did was she bought me Beavis and Butthead. And I know that may sound kind of weird because, oh, that's the coolest thing. No, my grandma was cool. And she's the one that introduced me to this. She bought me the Bob Judge or Mike Judge um, uh, created like the first collection one at Walmart, the DVDs and all that. And I fell in love. Man, I laughed my ass off for days and days and days and days. And basically, I think part of the reason was I found out that my friends and we were Beavis and Butthead. And I looked up some clips and videos and episodes not too long ago just to see if everything still fit. And it surely does. It's not just a teenage thing. It's not just a, phase or whatever. It's a good, solid show. And people need to give it more credit than it's due. Or give it the credit it's due. And it's been long overdue. Like I said, the people that get it, but the people that don't, I don't know if it's they don't get it or they don't want to. But it's, I hear a lot of, oh, well, I like King of the Hill, but I've never really been into Beavis and Butthead. It's like, you should probably watch Beavis and Butthead then, because there's a lot of similar style of gags. And let's face it, Hank Hill is basically Mr. Anderson without the cigarettes. And it's great. It's just such a great show. And I think it got a little bit of maybe more notoriety when it came to the film Beavis and Butthead Do America than, of course, with the 2011 re-release of the show, and now Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe. But overall, I think it's pretty much been kind of a cult following. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's kind of getting its due where it needs to be among the greats, as South Park and King of the Hill and Seinfeld. Maybe its time has finally come. And I'd love that because it's such a good show, such an underrated show, and quite frankly, it's a film and TV classic. It's one of the best, by one of the best, and I highly recommend it, and everyone should watch it at least once, so that we know it is not just fart jokes. But there are some fart jokes, so take that with what you will.